First at noon, 2 people are dead and 1 is in critical condition following a crash on Hawaii Island. This happened at around 6 this morning on Queen Ka'ahumanu Highway. Police say a Nissan Frontier and a Kia Forte collided, killing 2 people in the Kia. The driver of the Nissan was taken to the hospital. One of the vehicles also caught fire from the crash. The highway was closed in both directions from Kaupulehu Road to Waikoloa Beach Drive for several hours, but has since reopened. No word yet on the cause of the crash. An investigation is underway. Happening now, Eric Thompson, the Oahu man accused of killing his wife's lover, is back on the stand today in his second murder trial. The prosecution is continuing its questioning, pressing Thompson on how he felt about his wife's affair with Waipahu acupuncturist John Tokuhara. They believe Thompson is the only one who had the motive and the means to execute the murder.
You find out that it was a psychic who encouraged Joyce to have an affair. You find out that it was a psychic, that Joyce was trying to reach out to a psychic in December, and you're worried that she's going to have another affair, right?
No, I think she was trying to find like a business psychic or something.
So to save your doomed marriage, you decide to kill the man who could take her away from you.
No.
And after all you did for her, saving up, buying her the house she wanted, supporting her, this is how she repays you, right?
What's the question?
Thompson's attorney has argued that he was nowhere near Tokuhara's clinic at the time of his death. The defense also presented the possibility of other suspects, saying Tokuhara had previous relationships with other married women. Honolulu prosecutors say the suspect in a fatal shooting at a Kalihi game room last week acted in self-defense. Prosecutors have declined a murder charge for Sefa Fiso, but the 38-year-old has been charged with ownership or possession of a prohibited firearm. Fiso turned himself into police after the shooting on February 11th on La'a Lane that killed 30-year-old Tautaimana Downer. Fiso's bail was set at $50,000. Delta Airlines says 19 of the 21 people hurt during Monday's crash landing in Toronto have been released from the hospital. The jet carrying 76 passengers and 4 crew members was flying from Minneapolis when it crashed and flipped over at Pearson International Airport. Nikki Batiste has the latest from the scene.
Airport officials in Toronto say U.S. investigators have joined the Canadian team at the scene of Monday's Delta Airlines crash at Pearson International Airport.
We do expect that the investigators on site will be reviewing the aircraft on its current configuration on the runway for the next 48 hours.
Video obtained by TMZ shows the moment the jet caught fire and flipped over, leaving a trail of black smoke behind it.
Everything, drop it. Come on.
Flight crew members rushed to help passengers who were strapped in upside down, unbuckle, and escape the wreckage.
What I saw was everyone on that plane suddenly became very close in terms of how to help one another, how to console one another.
Despite the terrifying scene, officials say everyone on board survived, although there were some injuries.
Mainly stemming from back sprains, head injuries, anxiety, some headaches, nausea and vomiting due to the fuel exposure.
Officials say they will not speculate on what may have caused the crash, but aviation experts say investigators will take a close look at weather conditions.
They're going to be looking at things like wind gusts, wind shears, things like that, icing on the runways.
Airport officials say 2 storms dumped more than 20 inches of snow at the airport in the days prior to the crash, but Monday itself was a clear day. Nikki Batiste, CBS News, Toronto, Canada.
Here at home, Honolulu's mayor has signed into law new e-bike safety regulations. Bill 52 bans wheelies along with all non-standard riding positions, including standing, kneeling, and riding on the handlebars. The measure also requires all riders under the age of 18 to wear a helmet.
I've seen it so many times in my own car, kids going down the street, wheeling doing wheelies, no helmets, just acting dangerously out there in the open time and time again. And you say, you think it's a lot of fun until you end up in the emergency room. You think it's a lot of fun until your parents find out you got killed doing something really stupid. So this piece of legislation is designed to try to help people from hurting themselves.
Co-introduced by council members Tyler Dos Santos Tam and Augie Talba, the new law also has a 750-watt power limit for e-bikes on public roads. A Kauai man is fighting for his life in the hospital after being struck by a hit-and-run driver last week. 30-year-old Kalen Tinzik is currently on a respirator in a medically induced coma at the Queens Medical Center. His family says he was left for dead after a car veered into him in the shoulder lane of Nawiliwili Road in Lihue while Tinzik was skateboarding. Officers arrested 54-year-old Salvin Hilario a day after the crash for multiple offenses, including negligent injury, driving without a license, and reckless driving.
Yesterday, I believe we got a 50-50 chance that he will live versus when we saw him initially before he got life flighted to Queens, they were giving him a 99% chance that he would not survive.
Tinzik was airlifted to Oahu with multiple skull fractures, internal bleeding, and brain swelling. A GoFundMe link for the victim's family can be found on our website.
How's it on this Tuesday? We still have some leftover showers from yesterday's cold front, so a handful of windward spots are picking up some, some light to moderate rainfall, especially for us here on Oahu. This morning, it's a little damp for those windward areas. Otherwise, you're going to see lots of sunshine today, especially for the leeward areas around Maui and Hawaii Island, although Kona could get some afternoon pop-up showers. Now, the big swell that peaked last night will be slowly dropping, but the high surf advisory has been extended until tomorrow.
Thank you, Guy. CBS News has learned that President Trump's Department of Government Efficiency workers are embedding themselves in other federal agencies and trying to access sensitive information for millions of Americans. Erica Brown has the latest from Washington.
The White House is seeking to clarify Elon Musk's role as a special advisor to President Trump rather than the official head of their Department of Government Efficiency.
President Trump is the ultimate decision maker for this entire administration. Elon Musk, just like everybody else across the federal government, works at the direction of President Trump.
The acting Social Security Commissioner resigned her post after DOGE pushed for access to sensitive records. And CBS News has learned Musk's team inside the IRS is working to access private taxpayer data. Democratic Senator John Fetterman, who originally said he was okay with DOGE efforts, responded on social media saying, "I want to save billions of your money and make our government more efficient. Rummaging through your personal stuff is not that." A White House official confirms to CBS News that a DOGE worker is seeking access to the IRS database, saying information is needed to root out fraud, waste, and abuse at the agency. Some voters say they're concerned DOGE employees are working without any oversight.
I just don't understand how all this can happen and there's no control over it. And we've got people in the Oval Office now that aren't politicians, that have no right to be making these decisions.
But many Trump supporters applaud the administration's efforts.
The spigot has got to stop. This has just been ridiculous. The money that has been found, billions of dollars. This is stolen money from the taxpayers.
President Trump indicated Musk's team would be headed to the Pentagon, and CBS News has learned DOGE representatives have been there for meetings. Erica Brown, CBS News, Washington.
Southwest Airlines is cutting 15% of its corporate workforce. That's about 1,750 jobs. CEO Bob Jordan called the move unprecedented and said it was the company's first large-scale layoff in an effort to cut costs. The company said it expects savings from the cuts to total $210 million. It's still unclear if there are any impacts to Southwest's workforce here in Hawaii. The layoffs take effect in late April. Meanwhile, passengers boarding a domestic flight will soon need a real ID. It's a special type of ID or driver's license that meets federal security standards. And for most states, including Hawaii, the real ID will have a star near the right-hand corner. Jen Sullivan has more.
Passengers flying domestically will soon be required to have a real ID. It's a special type of identification card or driver's license that meets federal security standards. And in most states, real IDs will have a star in the right-hand corner. Some states, like California, will have a slight variation to the design, but the star will still be there.
At the very least, if you don't have it, it's really going to hold you up at TSA.
The deadline to update your license or ID is May 7th. If you don't get a real ID by that date, you'll need your passport or other acceptable identification document to fly.
It's right before Memorial Day, so make sure you're taking care of it now.
So what's behind the change? Following the 9/11 attacks, the federal government set new security standards to obtain a state-issued driver's license and ID card. You'll also need a real ID to enter certain federal buildings after May 7th. Here's what you'll need at the DMV to get a real ID. Some states may require proof of a social security number, either your original social security card or a tax document or pay stub showing your full social security number. You may need to show 2 forms proving your address, like a utility bill or bank statement, proof of status, such as a U.S. passport, U.S. birth certificate, or a permanent resident card, and proof of citizenship if you're not a U.S. citizen. And remember, some DMVs require you to make an appointment in advance, so plan ahead. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio meets with his Russian counterpart to discuss a path to ending the war in Ukraine. I'm Natalie Brand with what the Trump administration says about the talks, plus the response from European allies.
Also ahead on This Is Now, it's expected to be an exciting season for whale watching enthusiasts. Casey Lund takes us to the North Shore when we come back. The Vatican says new tests are showing that Pope Francis has developed pneumonia in both of his lungs. The 88-year-old's respiratory infection also involves asthmatic bronchitis, which required the use of cortisone antibiotic treatment. The Pope has been hospitalized in Rome since Friday. The Vatican says he is in good spirits and is grateful for the prayers for his recovery. Delegations from the U.S. and Russia met in Saudi Arabia today for the first day of talks about ending the war in Ukraine, but Ukraine was not invited to participate. Natalie Brand is at the White House with more details.
After more than 4 hours of talk, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the U.S. and Russia have agreed to appoint high-level teams to work on a path to end the war in Ukraine in a way that's sustainable and acceptable to all sides.
We're not going to pre-negotiate an end to this conflict. These are the kinds of things that have to happen through hard and difficult diplomacy in closed rooms over a period of time.
Secretary Rubio was joined by Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz.
This needs to be a permanent end to the war and not a temporary end as we've seen in the past. We know just the practical reality is that there is going to be some discussion of territory.
The Trump administration also said the U.S. and Russia agreed to restore embassy staffing in Moscow and here in D.C.
For us to be able to continue to move down this road, we need to have diplomatic facilities that are operating and functioning normally.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said he wasn't invited to Tuesday's meeting, but that his country needs to be part of the conversation about its future. European allies are concerned too and organized an emergency meeting Monday in Paris.
At stake is not just the future of Ukraine, it is an existential question for Europe as a whole. This is a once-in-a-generation moment for the collective security of our continent.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said he's willing to offer British peacekeeping troops to Ukraine, but that a U.S. security commitment is the only way to ensure lasting peace. Starmer is expected to visit the White House next week. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Here at home, it's worse than usual, so make sure to stay out of the water of the Kauai Canal. The State Department of Health is monitoring a sewage spill that's believed to have started on Saturday. It's unclear how many gallons of wastewater entered the canal from the Wainani Way. The health department says to stay out of the canal from Kapahulu Library to Liliuokalani Avenue. You have 2 chances this week to weigh in on proposed sewer fee increases on Oahu. Those annual hikes are set to begin July 1st. Honolulu's Department of Environmental Services will hold a town hall at 5:30 tonight at the Manoa Valley District Park, and another meeting will be held at Eva Mahiko District Park on Thursday at 5:30. A total increase of 115% is expected over a 10-year period. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Guy's going to be back with your full forecast in 2 minutes.
How's it on this Tuesday? The juicy cold front that brought clouds and showers to the western end of the state yesterday slowly pulling away, but there's still some showers left over for a handful of windward spots, especially wet this morning for windward Oahu, but these showers will be easing up as the day progresses. Most leeward sides aren't going to get much at all. Now, once that front pulls away, stronger trade winds are filling in. You can see it's already a little bit, they're in double digits for parts of Maui County, and the most windward areas will see winds pick up to about 10 to 20. Overall, it's going to be a very pleasant day today. Just factor in those windward and Mauka showers, especially early. But as the day progresses, especially for leeward sides, skies will clear. We'll see temperatures run to about 83 and winds pick up to about 10 to 20, especially in the afternoon. Now, as far as the surf, it's still big, it's still dangerous. The high surf advisory has been extended until tomorrow. The swell has peaked. It's on the way down by the afternoon, but still it's going to be big and dangerous, life-threatening to a large extent for both north and west shores. But with the returning trade winds for the big wave surfers, the conditions will be epic. We still got some small waves rolling into south and east shores. So the weather has really settled down. We've got some pretty nice stuff on the way. Remnant showers today, just for a handful of windward and Mauka spots. And then we'll get drier conditions from tomorrow on. Now, with the winds running a little on the slow side, 5 to 15 miles an hour, there's a chance for some afternoon pop-up showers, and there's a chance for more fog and haze, and that's all the way through the weekend.
Thank you, Guy. Whale watchers on Oahu's North Shore are in for a treat. This year's season is shaping up to be one of the most active in a while. Casey Lund has the latest from Haleiwa.
We've been out whale watching with Ocean Outfitters a handful of times, and there's been times we've gone out and we haven't been able to get whales on live TV, but that certainly wasn't the case this morning.
And he's on a boat this morning live. Good morning to you, Casey.
We are, and you know, I'm going to stay off camera because we are surrounded by a number of humpback whales. We just saw a couple of breaches. Of course, you might be able to see over there. Yeah, you might be able to see that. I'm so grateful for that moment that we get to share. It's pretty rare that that happens when you're on live TV.
That was just the beginning of a magical morning on Oahu's North Shore.
Today, we're going to send things back to Steve and Grace. What a magnificent moment we got to share with you on camera this morning. We're so grateful for that.
Special moments like that and like this. Inspiring reactions like these.
I was telling my wife and kids this was the second most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life besides them being born. I had no joke. This was unbelievable.
Just like a really amazing experience, and I'm so happy that I got to see it.
I thought it was super cool, and I think this might be my favorite thing that we've done here so far.
The Mundingers, visiting from Michigan, were beyond wowed by the show.
Honestly, I was just hoping to maybe see one or two, and I don't know how many there were, but it seemed like there was 100 of them around us. They called it spy hopping when the heads came up to look around, tons of breaching, spouts. They were just all over the place, and I couldn't believe how close they got to the boat.
Even seasoned watermen and women, like the crew of our host Ocean Outfitters, say today was a treat. Something to be cherished.
Oh, this is absolutely amazing. These are the kind of mornings which afterwards I don't even know what to do with my day. I'm just so giddy and excited. This season in general has just been absolutely amazing, and I was already saying that before we came out here this morning, and it just goes to show how they've been acting this morning already. But like I said, it's just going to be like whatever you put out in the energy, right? Put out in the world. Happiness, being grateful for them, they're going to show up for you.
Owner-operator Kevin Wilson says that's been the way this whale season has been going. His team capturing this amazing sight from a drone.
The other day we had an albino whale, which is very rare to see. So it was a baby calf and the mother. They're down here from Alaska giving birth, doing their thing. And it's pretty rare to see one of those, which we did have it that morning. A white one is basically white, a white whale. You know, they're born usually grayish.
A whale watching season to remember, and for this family, a morning they'll never forget.
It was amazing to watch them see this for themselves and just be present for this whole experience is really cool.
Today was obviously a blast, and the activity that we saw here on Oahu has been reported all over the state, especially in the waters off Maui. If you're interested in a whale watching tour, now is the time to do it. Ocean Outfitters has availability. We have a link to their website at hawaiinewsnow.com. We'll send things back to you for now.
Thank you, Case. Absolutely incredible. Well, just ahead, a 104-year-old New York woman celebrates her big birthday with an unusual bucket list wish. We'll explain in 2 minutes. Time for some good news now. A happy ending for a stranded seal pup that was found in the middle of the street in New Haven, Connecticut. Check it out. The 5-week-old seal was found by police officers wandering in the middle of the road about 3 blocks away from a local river. The animal was dehydrated and lethargic at only 28 pounds. Most babies that age are around 35 pounds. Now, after rescuing it, officers contacted wildlife officials who took in the baby seal. It will recover at a local aquarium and will be released back into the wild once it is stronger. And a New York woman who turned 104 years old had a very unusual birthday wish. To celebrate the big milestone, the curious centenarian wanted to have her birthday party, behind bars. Loretta says her lifelong dream was to know how incarcerated people live. So sheriffs in Western New York gave her the full experience of getting cuffed and booked. She even spent some time in a holding cell. Officers made sure to give Loretta plenty of cake and coffee during her visit. And when she was asked her secret behind her long life, Loretta said, "Mind your business." She's definitely a spunky old lady.